All right, folks, so today we unravel the importance of mental health awareness, emphasizing the necessity for mental health training with clinical psychologist Dr. Pearnel Bell. This discussion, by the way, is prompted by the recent incident at Sangster's International Airport where an American dentist faced charges following a meltdown and altercation with airport personnel. Morning, Dr. Bell. How are you?
Good morning, Neville. And how are you?
I am very well. Give thanks. I made a joke a while back to say that we're 2.7 million, and I think we have about 2.5 million videographers, because every single thing in the world happen now, we just pull out the phone and we video it. And when I saw what happened at Sangster's, I thought we were a little bit insensitive. Was I right or wrong?
I think so too, based on what the events that were taking place and what was happening to that young woman. And in terms of her dignity, we should have tried very hard as a nation and as a people to keep that intact.
Yeah, even though I still think so, how could we tell that she wasn't just high on weed or something? How could we tell the difference from what was happening?
Okay, so even if she was high on weed, it seems to me, and I am just guessing or forming an hypothesis at this time, that she was having a mental break. She is a dentist, it is alleged, and her behavior at the time was extremely abnormal. She was disrobing, she was presenting in a way that would indicate that she was out of touch with reality, disoriented, and not understanding time and place and where actually she was. So based on my analysis of the video, that's what I was seeing, which could be indicating that she may have been having, whether it's a high or what, but it was a psychotic break.
Okay. Now, Dr. Bell, this has brought into square focus the gap that there is in terms of how authorities and so on deal with persons who are having a mental health breakdown, as it happened in this particular instance. How do we get to a point where we can manage such episodes, persons in authority who are supposed to be there to protect the well-being of every citizen, person using, for example, the airport? How do we get to a point where we can get them to manage that kind of situation? What do we do?
So there should be simulation exercises to deal with any kind of crisis that may present itself, whether it's a mental health issue or an issue having to do with criminal activities, involving maybe even shooting. That also we should have training, and those in authority should provide the proper training for individuals to be able to respond in a time of crisis, in a time of an unusual event, a situation that they may never have seen before. Because in my memory, I don't ever remember anything of this nature happening, especially in an airport situation. And so training, and I'm sure that the authorities have provided training, but sometimes in the midst of a crisis, we could become disoriented in ourselves too, watching that kind of event unfolding, and many times not understanding how to respond in the moment. Yeah. And that's what I saw.
I suspect you can't go through everything that the training would require. But give me a couple of headlines here of, if I were to be trained in that area, what kind of training? I mean, I know you can't go through specifics, and I suspect the training would take a little while. But give me an idea of what I would be asked to learn.
Yes, because basically here in the Northeast where I am, we do on many occasions provide training for the police in terms of how to respond in the event that there is a mental health break or someone who is acting quite psychotic and could become harmful. So the first point of interest that we would want to know is how to restrain that individual. And we have different methodologies in terms of restraint. In specifically addressing what I saw at the airport, here is it, that there was a woman who was obviously having a psychotic break. What should have happened is that somewhere in the mix of it, I don't know how the airport is set up in terms of having material in terms of, so our first line would be someone getting a coat, a sheet, something, and wrap that individual in. So that would act as a restraint. Or if that is not available, then there would be a 2-point restraint where 2 persons would go behind the individual and hold both hands. Because even in the event of trying to bring her to the ground, it could result in injury to her too. So what we're trying to do is to ensure and to try not to allow the person further injury in terms of what's happening at the moment. And so that person would either be wrapped in something, a clothing, and restrained, or a 2-point restraint with the hand, and then nicely ushered to a innocuous room, a room that doesn't have anything in it that could, again, stimulate actions from the individual. And then a medical personnel be called in and a quick examination be done to help this person in terms of what's happening to them.
Okay.
In that.
Yeah. Are there other tips as well in terms of kind of talking down the person, trying to de-escalate the situation? Because she, in the video, she was loud and violent to a point. But are there any particular tips to say, hey, you know, a way to tone her down, or the individual?
It could be nice if someone could be whispering to her calmly that she's going to be okay. You know, somebody could be doing that and say, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. But because maybe of the level of psychosis that is operating there, she might have been or could be hearing something else. But nothing would, using that tactic would also, I think, could help in that situation, as well as, and that again depends on the level of psychosis that she was experiencing at the time.
Okay. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Dr. Bell. God bless you and your family. Have a great 2024.
Thank you, too.
Yeah, you're welcome. Clinical psychologist, Dr. Pearnel Bell.
Coming up, a coral bleaching crisis. You don't want to miss that one.